Harmattan season associated with dry winds, cold front, haze and dust blows from the Mediterranean Sea across the Sahara Desert, making landfall in West Africa between the months of December to March. The normally cold and harsh weather is accompanied by common cold, fever, allergies and other respiratory illnesses, mostly affecting children, the elderly and all age groups with pre-existing health conditions that worsen with lowered body immunity. Having many similarities with the COVID-19, ailments common in the Harmattan season may exacerbate the already worrying spike in the second wave of the coronavirus pandemic, especially reports of low testing in many states as confirmed by the Presidential Task Force. How can we control the spread of the second wave of COVID-19, especially in the Harmattan season, with widespread lack of compliance with the non-pharmaceutical safety protocols? What positive attitude should citizens imbibe to prevent them from getting any of the two ailments? And how do we ramp up COVID-19 testing to differentiate between Harmattan seasonal illnesses and COVID-19 for prompt and effective treatment as well as management? This is our focus this afternoon on Panorama from NTA Maiduguri. I am Abubakar Muhammad Musa. The Nigeria Governors Forum is to collaborate more effectively with the federal government in the new year towards ensuring that President Muhammadu Buhari's promise of changing the narrative in the nation's security situation is fulfilled in the shortest possible time. Chairman of the forum and Governor of Ekiti, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, stated this while briefing journalists after a strategic engagement with the President on the state of the nation and the way forward. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports.
I will continue to be loyal to this country. I have asked for this mandate. I got it. I must not advance any excuse for failing to perform. But the insecurity, I am extremely worried about it. Next year, it will be different. Those among the law enforcement agencies that remain in charge will be extremely busy.
That was on December 17 last year, shortly after the rescue of the abducted Kankara schoolboys in Katsina State. Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, who chairs the Nigeria Governors Forum, is here to perhaps get an update on what is in the offing as the Buhari presidency reorders priorities in the renewed battle against crime and criminality.
I can say clearly that help is on the way. Mr. President is very determined that this year would see a rapid reduction in the free access that bandits, kidnappers, criminals have had in the country. And I believe there's a whole range of strategies that is putting in place in order to address that. I've also expressed to him the commitment of governors to step up to the plate, both in terms of providing support for our security agencies and also sensitizing our population, as well as addressing the root causes of some of these crimes in our states.
At the closed-door meeting, a number of other issues that are of interest to the governors were analyzed, including economy and the general outlook for the year 2021, especially the COVID-19 vaccine management.
I commended the Presidential Task Force for at least wanting to use Mr. President and the Vice President as their publicity vehicles for reassuring those who may have their doubts about vaccine use that this is no threat to them. You know, there are cultural, there are religious concerns in various parts, and we at the state level, we are reviewing that with all of our colleagues. So we would take a lead as well in our various states. But the good thing is Mr. President has also agreed with me that he would convey to the PTF the necessity of using other influencers, maybe the chief imams, the bishops, our top musicians, our sports personalities, because the more of such people are seen taking the vaccine, the more the likelihood of resistance will break down.
He said as far as the Governors Forum is concerned, COVID-19 is not only a health issue, but also that of security and economy. Hence, his position that the delivery of the vaccines to the country be accelerated. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Microsoft is offering support for the digital transformation pillar of the federal government's economic sustainability plan, and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says this is a welcome development which could be leveraged to address issues affecting the youths, especially in engaging them productively. This offer will be a continuation of the technology company's investment in Nigeria after the establishment of an African Technology Development Center in 2020, all in affirmation of the efforts of the Buhari administration and the creation of a viable technology ecosystem in Nigeria. The Vice President Thursday this week noted in a virtual meeting with Microsoft Corporation team led by its president Brad Smith on the need to constantly engage with the youths, emphasizing that Nigeria's case is peculiar given that the youths constitute a larger percentage of the country's population, hence the need for all stakeholders to pay more attention to that demography. Vice President Osinbajo assured investors in the Nigerian economy of the commitment of the Buhari administration in creating the right environment for businesses to thrive. Earlier in his remarks, Brad Smith noted that his company's vision for investment in Nigeria was one that would lead to the creation of Africa's most viable technology ecosystem, also a demonstration of its enthusiasm about the digital transformation ongoing in Nigeria under the Buhari administration. Laolu Akande, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Office of the Vice President, in a release indicates that participants at the meeting include the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Isa Ali Pantami. Away from that now, the federal government has appealed to Nigerians to exercise patience with the ongoing road construction across the country due to the discomfort being experienced daily. Director, Highways Construction and Rehabilitation at the Federal Ministry of Works, Funsho Adebi, said this while on assessment visit to Abuja, Kaduna, Kano projects. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports.
The ever-busy Abuja-Kaduna-Kano 375 kilometers dual carriageway and commenced work in 2018 to ease traffic flow with a completion period of 36 months. Several factors resulted in the review of the project, which led to its slow pace. Appreciable percentage of more than 100 kilometers have been completed under 3 sections of the project. Leader of the delegation expressed satisfaction with the pace of work being done.
They have done quite some kilometers. From Kaduna to Zaria, they have done quite some. And you will see them in the report we saw in the course of our journey. From Zaria to Kano, we have seen significant progress. The only thing is that we want them completed it earlier than they planned.
He says, although some sections of the road are at different levels of completion, which are being critically bad, appealing to road users to be patient as government is committed to deliver a project that will stand the test of time. It is expected that the project will be completed before the end of year 2023. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Renewal for Accelerated Development is part of the post-insurgency recovery effort in Borno State to revive all facets of the society. Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, once ravaged by the insurgency, will soon have a flyover, which is equally the first in the entire northeast, a product of development planning targeting construction of 3 of such edifices. Yagum Subukar examines efforts to ensure actualization of the project in the wake of security challenges.
While security challenge remains in parts of Borno, sustainable growth measures are in place to promote urban development, with series of projects built in the post-insurgency transformational plan. One of such projects is the historic customs area flyover that is advancing steadily. To discuss the ongoing project is the Borno State Commissioner for Works, Architect Yerima Sali.
This project started about a year ago. That is as the security challenges continue. However, we have not been daunted. The progress has been on steadily. Moreover, within the Maiduguri metropolis, the security challenge is not so pronounced, and we have been working efficiently and effectively. Only during the COVID period, the peak of the COVID, that we suspended work for about 1 month here. However, we have continued since then, and work has been progressing very well and steadily. So many tradesmen have been engaged, right from the laborers to tradesmen such as welders, carpenters, ordinary laborers. And then the major economic activity that we are thinking will enhance is that this road is located right in the heart of the route to the 3 African countries of Cameroon, Chad, and Republic. So that will ease the issue of movement, and the congestion that used to be here will also be eased. When this project started, it gingered the government into completing another project right over there. So another bridge, a support bridge, was to divert most of the traffic. That is why you see this place now, the traffic is less, because there is another support road and a bridge which was constructed. So as the flyover is going right away, construction of the dualization was also awarded about 3 months ago, and they have also been progressing steadily. We are expecting both projects to be completed about the same time in the next 6 months.
Okay. When it is eventually completed, the Maiduguri flyover will be the first of such landmark in the northeast. It's back to you in the studio. In the northeast.
Thank you, Yagunsu. Medical experts say the Harmattan season being experienced in most parts of the country may likely be attributed to the rise in the cases of COVID-19 due to its favorable tendency towards spreading respiratory tract infection in humans. In this report, Muhammad Ibrahim examines common illness associated with Harmattan and COVID-19 and ways to stay healthy.
The Harmattan season occurs mostly in West Africa between the end of November and March, characterized by dry and dusty northeast trade wind, which blows from the Sahara Desert over West Africa into the Gulf of Guinea. The season of Harmattan comes with health implications to people with allergies when they are exposed to the weather, and those without protection, as medical experts say, they become prone to respiratory tract infections that spread easily, one of which is COVID-19.
COVID-19 has similarities with a lot of respiratory tract diseases until a test is carried out and then confirm that a person is suffering from COVID-19 or other diseases.
The connection between illnesses associated with Harmattan and COVID-19 is that both are viral diseases that spread through vocal and nasal secretions that include cold, asthma, catarrh, sickle cell anemia, bronchitis, and cough, among others.
Staying indoors, it will prevent him from a lot of maybe droplet, a lot of dust, and a lot of things. This one is applicable to COVID-19. Likewise, it's also applicable to other diseases, the common ones that we know.
It is more interesting to note that preventive measures against Harmattan-related illnesses and COVID-19 are similar, as same goes to their symptoms and treatment, with experts advising patients to seek medical attention to avoid worsening the situation.
For those patients that have mild symptoms, most of them we place them on either anti-malaria, then antibiotics and antihistamines, so we refer them to appropriate place.
To stay healthy this period, people are advised to use protective clothing, use of face masks, staying indoors, and most importantly, adopting preventive measures against COVID-19. Such include social distancing and personal hygiene. In Maiduguri, Muhammad Ibrahim, NTA News.
It is the peak season of Harmattan, unpredictable in nature with alternate weather conditions, especially with global warming. Just like in Europe, America, and other parts of the world where the winter season is promoting a spike in the second wave of COVID-19, Harmattan provides a stimulus for increasing cases. This has put pressure on health institutions managing various seasonal ailments and the coronavirus pandemic. How can we strengthen medical institutions to manage prevailing health situations under second wave of COVID-19? How can people stay safe from catching cold or COVID-19? With me to discuss this issue on Panorama is a physician and medical director, State Specialist Hospital Maiduguri, Dr. Larabah Ahmed Bello. You're welcome to Panorama.
Thank you very much.
All right, what are the ailments commonly associated with the Harmattan season and what are their similarities with COVID-19?
Well, Harmattan season, during Harmattan season, there is increase in upper respiratory illness. That is, most of the time, patient will have cough, running nose, and fever, which is very, very similar to what people with COVID-19 is having. By mere seeing patient, it's not easy to differentiate that this individual is having COVID-19. It's very, very important. If a patient is having upper respiratory tract infection, he needs to put his face mask before seeing a physician. The physician needs to examine the patient and take a history. The only way you can be able to say that this one is not COVID-19 is by doing tests, because it's very, very important, because they use similar. Upper respiratory tract infection is a viral infection which tend to lower the immunity of most of the individual, more especially the extreme age, the younger age and the extreme end, and those with other illness like maybe diabetic, asthma. So it's very, very important for any individual that is having a running nose should not stay at home, should come forward for a test, because many people tend to introduce something on their own, like people tend to use hot water with some other things in order to prevent the respiratory tract infection. But this one is not good for an individual who is having maybe diabetic and asthma. So the earlier the presentation is, the better. So it's very, very important. People should not run away from doing a test. COVID-19 is with us. We should not run away from it. So by doing the test, at least it will make early intervention easier.
All right, doctor. Now, with the second wave of COVID-19 ravaging many parts of the globe and a sustained increase in Nigeria, what is the threat of Harmattan to the spike in numbers?
Well, Harmattan has earlier said that it's associated with respiratory tract infection. The COVID-19 tend to affect the more respiratory tract infection. The new stress is with us and is more aggressive than even the first one. It's associated with severe illness and then mortality. So it's very, very important. You should not take upper respiratory tract illness lightly, because you don't know that maybe you are having the new strain, and many people are having it and were having high mortality compared to the first one. The first one, the infection is slightly is not aggressive than the second strain, because it's a new mutant. So we should not take it lightly. We need to see our physician, and we need to take preventive aspect before even seeing our physicians.
All right, doctor. Now tell us, how effective can the non-pharmaceutical safety protocol be in the control of spread of COVID-19 and Harmattan seasonal health concerns, especially with their common symptoms and mode of transmission?
The non-pharmaceutical is very, very important. It's playing a lot of role, because right now here we don't have a vaccine that we'll use to prevent us. The only thing that we are left with before the arrival of a safe and effective vaccine, we are left with only the non-pharmaceutical intervention. Because even before COVID-19, I know people during Harmattan, they used to do a lot of preventive aspect. I know many people used to put face mask when they have upper respiratory tract infection, because they know even ordinary upper respiratory tract infection. If you are having it, your person close to you may have it, talk less of now with the new trend. So it's very, very important. We should not take the non-pharmaceutical as a joke, because it's simple, but people don't want to comply. Keeping a social distance is very, very important. Use of face mask, hand hygiene is very, very important. And people should not be in a hurry, reactive in some condition like rushing to close school because of COVID-19. It's good for us to know we should be careful in being that, because this new trends.
Okay, Ma, it appears time is not on our side. We're sorry, we have to leave it here for now. Physician and Medical Director, State Specialist Hospital, Dr. Larba Ahmed Bello, we appreciate you for coming on Panorama this afternoon. Let's take a break now. We shall be back shortly.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation.
My advice to these young people is, please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Have you back? The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has announced an update of its protocols for travelers coming into Nigeria. In a tweet, the PTF notes that with effect from 11th January 2021, all incoming travelers must undergo a COVID-19 PCR test not earlier than 4 days or 96 hours before boarding, while emphasizing that test validity period commences from the time the sample was taken at the country of departure. Travelers must also show proof of payment for the mandatory post-arrival COVID-19 test before boarding or leaving the country of initial departure. With this updated protocol, travelers with PCR tests done more than 4 days or 96 hours before departure will not be allowed to board. No airline coming to Nigeria is therefore allowed to board any passenger that has not paid for a post-arrival PCR test using the Nigerian travel portal. And still on the coronavirus pandemic, the second wave of COVID-19, which has continued to raise concern on the need for ramping up of preventive measures and health support for containment of the disease, has continued to attract the support of state and non-state organizations. The Borno State Sustainable Development Goals (SDG) project has therefore donated COVID-19 prevention materials and health equipment for distribution to hospitals across the state. Yagum Subukar reports.
The SDG Health Sector Initiative is part of a renewed effort to support the prevention and control of the second wave of COVID-19. The items, which include face masks, hand sanitizers, beds and bedding materials, as well as other equipment for clinical support, were presented to Hospitals Management Board for distribution to hospitals across Borno. The State Chairman, Project Support Unit and Intergovernmental Affairs Commissioner, Engineer Mohammed Kabir Wanori, says the intervention is the product of a partnership between the Sustainable Development Goal Program and health institutions in the state.
This little equipment being handed over to you will be distributed accordingly to deserve hospitals where they lack beds and water.
The state SDG focal person, Stephen Pashka, said the SDGs deemed it necessary to donate the preventive materials as a measure to support government control the spread of the deadly virus, urging people to comply with the non-pharmaceutical measures. Receiving the materials, the Chief Medical Director, Hospital Management Board, Professor Mohammed Arab Alhaji commended the state SDG for the donation, saying the preventive materials will no doubt complement the health sector's effort in curtailing the spread of COVID-19 across the state.
I assure you that these facilities will be utilized to the deserving hospitals in the soonest, and I believe that it will go a long way in assisting, especially now that some of our facilities were recently destroyed by the insurgents.
In Maiduguri, Yagum Subukar, NTA News.
And sports is next. Golden Eaglets face Black Starlets in Wafu Under-17 Championship in Togo. Details on our sports update with Badi Adilei.
Welcome to Sports Update. I'm Badi Adeleye. We begin with talent discovery and development. As the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development says, it remains committed to hosting the National Youth Games this year. The annual event could not hold in the year 2020 due to the coronavirus pandemic, but the Director of Grassroots Sports Development in the Ministry, Ademola Are, says the NYG is next in line after the National Sports Festival built for February.
The lives of the youth are very important, so we are hoping that COVID-19 will really enable us to do what we are supposed to do.
To football now, the Nigeria Professional Football League enters match day 3 this weekend, with Aqua United hosting Abia Warriors in Saturday's sole match. On Sunday, MFMFC and Sunshine Stars go head-to-head. Champions Plateau United host Heartland, while Lord leaders Nasarawa United welcome Kano Pillars to the Lafia Township Stadium. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Football Federation has challenged the national under-17 football team, the Golden Eaglets, to go for victory against their Ghanaian opponents at the Wafu B Under-17 Championship in Togo on Saturday. Coach Fatah Amo's boys, after losing their first group game, must beat the Black Starlets to stand a chance of progressing beyond the group stage. And NFF President Amaju Pinnick has charged the team to show their strong winning mentality against their West African rivals. And finally, Formula 1 giants Mercedes are confident that reigning world drivers champion Lewis Hamilton will sign a contract extension. Reports claim that the 7-time world champion has made a list of demands which is holding up the deal. And that will be all on Sports Update. I am Badi Adeleye.
That's all for Panorama this afternoon from the NTA Maiduguri studios. Do have a pleasant weekend.